The medical scanner beeped softly in the quiet research lab. Hyun-woo stared at the data on his screen, his coffee growing cold in his hand. The readings made no sense. Someone out there was dying in terrible pain, and nobody was helping them. He zoomed in on the cellular breakdown patterns. This was cascade failure, a disease that attacked long-lived species. The patient cells were destroying themselves one by one. Hyun-woo had seen this before. His sister Hannah died from the same disease when he was 17. He remembered every moment of her suffering. But these readings were worse. Much worse. This patient had been sick for months without any treatment at all. No pain medication. No cellular stabilizers. Nothing. Just raw, endless agony. Why would anyone let someone suffer like this? Hyun-woo muttered. He scrolled down to check the patient identification code. His blood went cold. Vexthor, the Crimson Terror. The dragon who burned 3 human colonies to ash. Hyun-woo sat back in his chair. His hands trembled slightly. Everyone in the galaxy knew that name. Vexthor had led the Valkyrie invasion fleets 200 years ago. Millions died. Entire civilizations surrendered just hearing his name. The dragon was a legend of terror and destruction. And now he was dying alone on a frozen moon. Good, someone would say. He deserves it. Hyun-woo looked at the scans again. He saw the pain markers, the stress hormones, the way every cell in the dragon's massive body was screaming. This wasn't justice. This was torture. The lab door opened. Jaewon walked in carrying a stack of data tablets. She was Hyun-woo's supervisor and had worked at the research outpost for 15 years. Still looking at those leaked medical files, she asked. Jaewon, someone needs to help him, Hyun-woo said. She stopped walking. Please tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. He's dying in pain. Unnecessary pain. We have the medication that could help. He's a war criminal. Hyun-woo. He killed millions of people. 3 medical stations already refused to treat him. The Galactic Council denied his requests for humanitarian aid. There's a reason for that. The reason is revenge, Hyun-woo said quietly. Not justice. Revenge. Jaewon put down her tablets. She looked at him with concern. I know you lost your sister to cascade failure. I know this is personal for you. But Vexthor isn't Hannah. He's not some innocent victim. I know who he is. I know what he did. Hyun-woo stood up. But I'm a doctor. When I see someone dying in pain, I have to help. That's what I promised when I took my oath. Your oath doesn't extend to monsters. Maybe it should. Jaewon stared at him for a long moment. If you go to Krell 9, your career is over. The Council will destroy you. Other doctors will hate you. Survivors of his attacks will call you a traitor. Is this really worth it? Hyun-woo thought about Hannah. Her last days were full of pain because their small colony didn't have proper equipment. He became a doctor because of her, because he never wanted anyone to die that way if he could prevent it, even if that someone was Vexthor. Yes, he said, it's worth it. 3 hours later, Hyun-woo sat in a small medical shuttle heading toward Krell 9. His supplies filled the back compartment. Pain suppressors, cellular stabilizers, diagnostic equipment, and enough medication for weeks of treatment. The frozen moon grew larger in his viewport. Krell 9 was a dead place. No atmosphere worth breathing. Surface temperature stayed at minus 100 degrees. Nothing lived there except one dying dragon in his fortress. Hyun-woo's communication panel blinked. A message from Miho, his colleague and friend. Are you insane? Come back right now. The Council already knows you're heading there. They're talking about sanctions. Please, Hyun-woo, turn around. He didn't reply. He couldn't explain it in a way that would make sense. Maybe he was insane. Maybe compassion was a kind of madness when extended to someone like Vexthor. The shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere. Below, the fortress rose from the ice like a monument to conquest. It was massive, built from dark metal that absorbed light. Weapon emplacements lined its walls, though most looked inactive. Hyun-woo counted 3 landing pads. He chose the largest one. His hands shook as he landed the shuttle. Fear finally caught up with him. He was about to walk into the home of the most feared warrior in galactic history. Alone, unarmed except for medical supplies. The shuttle door opened. Cold air rushed in, making his breath fog. Hyun-woo put on his thermal suit and grabbed his medical kit. The fortress entrance stood 200 meters away, a dark opening like a waiting mouth. He walked across the ice. His boots crunched with each step. The fortress loomed over him, impossibly large. How many ships had launched from here to burn human worlds? How many soldiers had marched through these halls to spread terror? The entrance opened as he approached. Someone or something was watching. Inside, the fortress was dark. Emergency lights provided dim illumination. The walls were decorated with weapons from 100 different worlds. Trophies of conquest. Hyun-woo saw a battle standard from Denebris Colony, where 15,000 humans died in a single day. His stomach churned. What was he doing here? He followed the main corridor deeper into the fortress. The air grew warmer. He heard something ahead. Breathing. Slow, labored, painful breathing that echoed through the empty halls. The corridor opened into a massive central chamber. And there, in the middle of it all, was Vexthor. Hyun-woo stopped breathing for a moment. The dragon was enormous. Even lying down, his body filled half the chamber. His scales, once brilliant crimson according to legends, had faded to dull gray. His wings were folded tight against his body. Each breath looked like it caused him pain. Two massive eyes opened. They glowed with faint red light, fixing on the tiny human standing in the doorway. A human? Vexthor's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Each word seemed to cost him energy. Come to watch me die? Or perhaps to hasten the process. Hyun-woo forced himself to walk forward. His legs felt like water. He stopped 10 meters from the dragon's head and set down his medical kit. Neither, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I came to help. The dragon stared at him. Then Vexthor laughed. The sound was terrible, like breaking glass and cracking stone. It turned into a cough that shook his entire body. When it finally stopped, the dragon's eyes fixed on Hyun-woo again. Help, Vexthor repeated. A human wants to help me. This must be a dream. Or perhaps death has finally come and brought madness with it. I'm a doctor, Hyun-woo said. I specialize in cascade failure. I've seen your medical scans. You're in constant pain. You don't have to be. And why would you care about my pain, little human? Do you know how many of your kind I killed? Yes, Hyun-woo said quietly. I know exactly what you did. Then you're either brave or stupid. Possibly both. Vexthor shifted slightly, wincing. The galaxy wants me to suffer. 13 medical stations refuse my requests. I am a war criminal. I deserve this agony. Hyun-woo opened his medical kit. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. That's not for me to decide. He pulled out a scanner. I'm a medic, not a judge. And right now you're my patient. The dragon watched as Hyun-woo approached with the scanner. For a moment, Hyun-woo thought Vexthor might kill him. One swipe of those massive claws would end everything. Instead, Vexthor simply closed his eyes. Do what you will. Strange human, I'm too tired to stop you. Hyun-woo began his examination, and in that moment, everything changed. The scanner hummed as it passed over Vexthor's massive body. Hyun-woo studied the readings carefully. The dragon's cellular structure was breaking down faster than he expected. Every major organ system showed signs of stress. This wasn't just painful. This was actively killing him, cell by cell. How long have you been without treatment? Hyun-woo asked. Vexthor's eyes remained closed. 8 months. Perhaps 9. Time loses meaning when every moment is pain. 8 months. Hyun-woo felt anger rise in his chest. You've been suffering like this for 8 months with no medication at all? The galaxy has a long memory, human, and I gave them many reasons to remember me with hate. The dragon's voice was bitter. This is my payment for those memories. Hyun-woo returned to his medical kit. He pulled out a large injector filled with blue liquid. This is a pain suppressor designed for large beings. It won't cure you, but it will reduce your pain by 60 or 70%. Why waste your medicine on me? Because you're in pain and I can help. That's all the reason I need. He approached Vexthor's shoulder, where the scales were thinnest. The dragon didn't move as Hyun-woo pressed the injector against the skin and released the medication. The device hissed as it pushed the liquid through the tough scales. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then Vexthor's breathing changed. It became deeper, easier. The tension in his massive body slowly relaxed. The dragon opened his eyes and looked at Hyun-woo with something that might have been surprise. "The pain," Vexthor said slowly. "It's less. Not gone, but less. The medication needs an hour to reach full effect. By tonight, you'll feel much better." Hyun-woo pulled out several more devices. "I'm going to set up a cellular stabilizer. It will slow down the breakdown of your cells. Again, it's not a cure, but it will give you more time." "Time for what?" "To die more slowly. Time to decide what you want to do with whatever life you have left." Vexthor watched Hyun-woo work in silence. The human moved around the massive chamber, setting up equipment, adjusting sensors, checking readings. Hours passed. Hyun-woo didn't speak unless he needed to ask the dragon a medical question. Finally, as the fortress's lights dimmed to simulate night, Hyun-woo sat down on a storage container. He was exhausted. The thermal suit was heavy, and the work had been intense. "You should rest," Vexthor said. His voice sounded stronger already. "There are chambers in the east wing with functional life support. I need to monitor your response to the medication for a few more hours." "Stubborn creature. I've been called worse." Vexthor shifted his position slightly. The movement would have been impossible that morning. Already the treatment was working. "What is your name, human?" "Hyun-woo." "Hyun-woo," the dragon repeated. "And why did you really come here? Don't tell me it's just because you're a doctor. Doctors follow rules. Rules that would have kept you far away from me." Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment. He stared at his hands. "My sister died from cascade failure when I was 17. Her name was Hannah. Our colony was small and poor. We didn't have the right equipment to treat her. I watched her suffer for 3 months before she died. And that made you want to help me? The creature who burned colonies like yours. It made me want to help anyone suffering from cascade failure. Anyone at all." Hyun-woo looked up at the dragon. "When I saw your medical scans, I didn't see the crimson terror. I saw my sister. I saw someone die in pain who didn't need to be. I couldn't ignore that. Even knowing what I am, what I've done, especially knowing what you are. Because if I only help people I think deserve it, then I'm not really a doctor. I'm just someone playing favorites with medicine." Vexthor was silent for a long time. "Your sister will be proud of you. Or horrified. Perhaps both. Definitely both." Hyun-woo agreed with a tired smile. His communication device buzzed. A message from Miho appeared on the screen. Hyun-woo's smile faded as he read it. "Problem?" Vexthor asked. "The Galactic Council knows I'm here. They've issued official sanctions against me. My medical license is under review. They're calling me a war criminal sympathizer." Hyun-woo kept reading. "Several survivor groups are demanding my arrest. There's a protest happening outside the research station right now. You should leave, before this destroys your life completely." "No, don't be foolish, human. I'm not worth your career." Hyun-woo stood up and checked the cellular stabilizer readings. "You don't get to decide what you're worth to me. I'm your doctor now. That means I stay until you're stable." "Stubborn and foolish." Also been called that before. Over the next few days, Hyun-woo established a routine. He monitored Vexthor's condition, adjusted medications, and slowly brought the dragon back from the edge of death. The fortress was cold and empty, but Hyun-woo found supplies and made a small living space near the main chamber. Messages kept coming. Miho begged him to return. Jaiwin sent reports about how badly his reputation was being damaged. News organizations called him a traitor. Some called him worse things. Hyun-woo ignored them all. He had work to do. On the 4th night, as Hyun-woo prepared the evening medication dose, Vexthor spoke suddenly. "You want to know why I did it, don't you? Why I attacked your colonies?" Hyun-woo paused. "Only if you want to tell me." "The Valkyrie were dying," Vexthor said. His voice was heavy with old grief. "Our home world were failing. Environmental collapse. We had maybe 50 years before our entire species went extinct. We asked the Galactic Council for help. We requested refugee status. We begged for new territory. What did they say? They denied us 3 times. They said there was no proof our situation was as bad as we claimed. They said we had enough resources to survive if we managed better. They said many things, but the truth was simple. Nobody wanted to share their space with us. Vexthor shifted his wings. The movement was easier now, less painful. So I took what they wouldn't give. I led our fleets to claim territory by force. We needed worlds to survive. We needed them desperately. That doesn't excuse what you did, Hyunwoo said quietly. All those people who died, the colonies you burned, children, families, innocents. No, Vexthor agreed. It doesn't excuse it. I know what I am. I know the weight of all those deaths. Every face haunts me, human. Every scream echoes in my dreams. The dragon's eyes glowed dimly in the darkness. I saved my species. 200,000 Valkyrie survived because of my actions, but millions of others died. That's the equation I live with. Where are the Valkyrie now? Scattered across 3 systems. They have enough space to survive. They've rebuilt. Most of them hate me now. They're ashamed of how they survived. They want to forget the wars, forget the killing, forget me. Vexthor's laugh was bitter. I gave them a future and they gave me exile. Hyunwoo finished preparing the medication. He approached the dragon and administered the injection. The galaxy sees you as a simple monster, but nothing is ever simple, is it? Does it matter? Simple or complicated, the dead are still dead. It matters to me. I need to understand who I'm treating. Why? Because you're not just my patient anymore. Hyunwoo sat down on his usual container. You're becoming something else. I'm not sure what yet. They sat in silence, human and dragon, in the cold fortress on the frozen moon. Outside, the galaxy condemned them both. Inside, something unexpected was growing. Not friendship exactly, not forgiveness, but understanding. A bridge built in the darkness between the most unlikely beings. And that bridge would need to be strong, because the galaxy was coming for them both. The alarm woke Hyunwoo from a deep sleep. Red lights flashed throughout the fortress. He jumped up from his makeshift bed and ran to the main chamber. Vexthor was already awake, his head raised and alert. We have visitors. 3 ships just entered orbit. Mercenaries, most likely. Hyunwoo checked his communication device. The screen showed dozens of new messages. He opened the most recent one from Miho. A bounty, he said, his voice hollow. Someone placed a bounty on both of us. 5 million credits for your head. 2 million for capture me alive. Generous prices, Vexthor said darkly. We won't have to wait long for hunters to arrive. Can the fortress defend itself? Some systems still work, but I haven't activated them in decades, and I'm still too weak to fight properly. The dragon looked at Hyunwoo. You should leave now. Take your shuttle and go. They want me, not you. If you're gone when they arrive, you might survive this. We've had this conversation before. The answer is still no. Hyunwoo, this is different. These aren't politicians making threats. These are killers coming for blood and money. Then we need to prepare. Hyunwoo pulled up the fortress schematics on his tablet. Show me what defenses still work. Vexthor stared at him for a moment, then rumbled something that might have been a laugh. Stubborn human. Very well. The shield generator in the North Tower might still function, and there are automated turrets on the outer walls. They spent the next 2 hours bringing old systems online. Hyunwoo ran between control panels while Vexthor guided him through the activation sequences. The fortress slowly came to life, humming with power it hadn't used in years. The shield flickered into existence around the fortress just as the first mercenary ship began its landing approach. It was a Kralaxian hunter vessel, sleek and armed with heavy weapons. 2 more ships circled overhead, waiting. Kralaxians, Vexthor said. They never fail to claim their prey. This will be difficult. A voice crackled through the communication system. Vexthor, human doctor, you're surrounded. Surrender now and we'll make this quick. Hyun-woo grabbed the communication panel. This is a medical facility. The patient here is under my care. Leave immediately. Laughter came through the speakers. Medical facility? That's rich. You're harboring a war criminal. Doctor, step aside and let us do what the galaxy should have done years ago. No, then you'll die with him. Your choice. The communication cut off. Moments later, weapons fire struck the shield. Bright flashes lit up the fortress walls as the mercenary ships attacked. The shield held, but it flickered with each impact. That won't last long, Vextor said. The generator is old, maybe an hour before it fails. Hyun-woo's tablet buzzed. A new message, this time from someone he didn't expect. Yunji. He knew that name. She was from Denebris Colony, one of the places Vextor had attacked. She lost her family in that battle. He opened the message. His hands shook as he read it. Hyun-woo, my name is Yunji. The Crimson Terror killed my mother, my father, and my baby brother. They died screaming. I was 10 years old. I watched it happen. And now you're protecting him? Giving him comfort? Where was his mercy when my family begged for their lives? You're spitting on their graves. On every grave he filled. I hope you understand that. Hyun-woo closed his eyes. The weight of her words hit him like a physical blow. He thought of that 10-year-old girl watching her family die. He thought of the thousands of other stories, just like hers. What is it? Vextor asked. A message from a survivor. From Denebris. The dragon was quiet. What did they say? That I'm betraying every person you killed by helping you. They're right. Maybe. Hyun-woo looked at the dragon. But I still can't walk away from someone dying in pain. Even you. Even knowing what that means to people like Yunji. Another impact shook the fortress. The shield flickered again, weaker this time. They're going to break through, Vextor said. When they do, I want you to hide in the lower levels. There are sealed chambers they won't find easily. What about you? I'll do what I can. I'm not completely helpless. The dragon tried to stand. His legs shook with effort, but he managed to rise. The treatments had given him back some strength. Not much, but some. Better to die fighting than waste away. You're not dying today. Neither of us are. Hyun-woo ran to the medical equipment. How fast can you move? Slowly. Why? Because I have a terrible idea. Hyun-woo explained his plan. Vextor listened, then showed his teeth in what might have been a smile. That is a terrible idea. It might work. The shield failed 10 minutes later. The mercenary ships moved in immediately, landing on the fortress pads. Hyun-woo watched through the security cameras as armored Kralaxian hunters poured out. 12 of them, all carrying heavy weapons. They approached the main entrance carefully. These were professionals. They knew Vextor was dangerous even when dying. The door opened for them. They rushed inside, weapons ready. The corridor was empty. They moved forward slowly, checking corners and side passages. The fortress was silent, except for their footsteps. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, Vextor moved. He was still weak, still sick, but he was a warrior who had conquered systems. And now he was angry. Angry at the galaxy that left him to die. Angry at the hunters who came for his human doctor. Angry at himself for caring. The dragon's roar shook the fortress walls. Fire erupted in the corridor, bright and terrible. The hunters scattered, firing blindly. But they were fighting in darkness against a creature who had lived in this fortress for decades. Vextor knew every passage, every shadow, every corner. Hyun-woo watched from the control room as the dragon drove the hunters back. He felt sick. This was violence. People were getting hurt, maybe dying, because of him. Because he couldn't just walk away. But he still couldn't walk away. 3 hunters made it past Vextor and found the control room. They burst through the door, weapons pointed at Hyun-woo. Don't move, human. Hyun-woo raised his hands. I'm unarmed. I'm just a doctor. You're a traitor. Come with us. The lead hunter reached for him. Then the floor exploded upward. Vextor's head smashed through from the chamber below. His jaws closed around the hunter's armor and threw him across the room. The other two hunters fired, but the dragon's tail swept their legs out from under them. "Are you hurt?" Vextor asked Hyunwoo. "No, but you are." Blood dripped from several wounds on the dragon's body. The fight had cost him. "I've had worse." Vextor collapsed slightly, breathing hard. "But I can't do that again." That was everything I had left. The remaining hunters retreated to their ships. They took off quickly, abandoning the attack. But Hyunwoo knew this wasn't over. More would come. The bounty was too high, the target too valuable. He helped Vextor back to the main chamber and began treating his new wounds. The dragon had protected him. The creature responsible for millions of deaths had put himself between Hyunwoo and danger. "Why did you do it?" Hyunwoo asked as he cleaned a deep cut on Vextor's shoulder. "Why protect me?" Vextor was quiet for a moment. "Because you're the only being in this entire galaxy who looked at and saw someone worth saving. That's a rare thing. Perhaps the rarest thing." Outside, more ships were coming. The fortress was damaged. The shield was gone. And the galaxy wanted them both dead. But inside, in the cold fortress on the frozen moon, two unlikely beings had formed a bond, and they would face whatever came next together. The fortress shook as another weapon's blast struck the outer walls. Hyunwoo counted 15 ships in orbit now. More arrived every hour. The bounty had drawn hunters from across 3 sectors. Vextor lay in the main chamber, his breathing labored. The fight with the Kralaxians had taken too much from him. His wounds were healing slowly, but the stress had pushed his disease into a dangerous phase. Hyunwoo worked frantically to stabilize him. "You need a rest," Hyunwoo said, adjusting the cellular stabilizer. "Your body can't take another fight. Then we're dead. They won't stop coming." Vextor coughed, his whole body shuddering. "You should have left when you had the chance." "Stop saying that." Hyunwoo's tablet lit up with an incoming call. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, then decided to answer. A woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked to be in her 30s, with tired eyes and a determined expression. "Is this Hyunwoo?" she asked. "Yes. Who are you?" "My name is Yunji. I sent you a message yesterday." Hyunwoo's heart sank. "The survivor from Denebris. I read it. I understand why you're angry." "Angry?" Yunji's voice cracked. "That doesn't begin to cover what I feel. I'm leading a coalition fleet. We're 2 hours away from Krell 9. We're coming to finish what those mercenaries couldn't." "Yunji, please." "No, you don't get to speak. You don't get to explain." Her face filled the screen. "That monster killed my family. My mother tried to shield me with her body. My father begged him to spare us. My baby brother was only 3 years old. 3, and they burned him alive." Hyunwoo felt tears in his eyes. "I'm so sorry." "Your sorry means nothing. You're protecting him. You're giving him comfort, medicine, care. Where was his mercy? Where was his compassion when my family died screaming?" Yunji's voice shook with rage and grief. "You think you're being noble, Doctor? You think you're showing humanity? You're spitting on every grave he filled. You're telling us that his life matters more than our dead. That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying? Explain it to me. Make me understand why the creature who destroyed my entire world deserves to die peacefully when my family died in terror and pain." Hyunwoo looked at Vextor. The dragon watched him silently. "I can't make you understand. I can't even explain it properly. But if I only help people I think deserve it, if I decide who gets medicine based on whether they're good or bad, then I'm not a doctor anymore. I'm something else." "Pretty words," Yunji said coldly. "But my family is still dead, and in 2 hours you'll answer for your choice." The screen went dark. Hyunwoo sat down heavily. His hands trembled. He thought about that 3-year-old boy, about Yunji's mother trying to protect her, about all the families across all the colonies that Vextor destroyed. "She's right, you know," Vextor said quietly. "Everything she said is true." "I know." "Then why are you still here?" Hyunwoo looked at the dragon. "Because right and wrong aren't as simple as they should be. Because compassion doesn't come with conditions, or it's not really compassion. Because..." He paused. "Because My sister made me promise something before she died. What promise? She made me promise I would never let anyone suffer the way she did. Anyone at all. She didn't say only good people or only people who deserve it. She said anyone. Hyunwoo wiped his eyes. I'm keeping that promise. Even if it costs me everything. Even if people like Yunji hate me for it. Your sister asked too much of you. Maybe, but it's the promise I made. A new message appeared on Hyunwoo's tablet. This one from someone named Taeyong. He opened it cautiously. Dr. Hyunwoo, my name is Taeyong. I'm a journalist. I've been investigating the Valkyrie crisis and your situation. I need you to know something. The story everyone knows about Vextor isn't complete. I found records from the Galactic Council archives. The Valkyrie situation was much worse than anyone admitted. Their worlds were dying. They had maybe 20 years before extinction. They requested refugee status 3 times. The council denied them every time. Hyunwoo read further. Taeyong had attached documents, data files, environmental reports. Everything confirmed what Vextor had told him. The Valkyrie were desperate. The council ignored them. This doesn't excuse what he did. Taeyong's message continued, but it provides context. I'm going to publish this story. The galaxy needs to know the truth. All of it. Hyunwoo showed the message to Vextor. The dragon read it slowly. What good will this do? Vextor asked. Truth doesn't bring back the dead. No, but maybe it will make people think. Maybe it will complicate their simple story about you being pure evil. I am evil. What I did was evil. The reasons don't change that. The reasons don't excuse it, Hyunwoo corrected. But they matter. Context matters. Another explosion rocked the fortress. Closer this time. The mercenaries were getting bolder. They knew Vextor couldn't fight them off again. Hyunwoo's communication panel lit up with an emergency broadcast. Yunji's face appeared again, but this time she was speaking to everyone in the system. This is Yunji of Denebris. My fleet has arrived at Krell 9. We are prepared to destroy the fortress and everyone inside it. This is justice for the millions who died, for every family torn apart, for every child who watched their parents burn. The transmission paused. Then Yunji continued, her voice softer but still hard. Dr. Hyunwoo, you have one final chance. Leave the fortress now. We'll let you go, but if you stay with that monster, you'll die with him. Choose. Vextor looked at Hyunwoo. Go. Please. I don't want your death on my conscience, too. You saved my life yesterday, Hyunwoo said. You protected me from those hunters. You didn't have to do that. I owed you. For the medicine, the care. No, it wasn't about debt. You could have let them take me. It would have made your own situation easier. But you didn't. Hyunwoo checked the medical equipment one more time. Something changed between us. I don't know what to call it, but I'm not abandoning it now. Even if it means dying? Even then. Outside, Yunji's fleet powered up their weapons. 15 ships, all focused on the fortress. More than enough firepower to reduce it to dust. Then something unexpected happened. Taeyong's story went live. It spread across the galactic network in minutes. News channels picked it up. Social media exploded with arguments. The simple narrative about Vextor being a pure monster suddenly became complicated. Some people didn't care. The dead were still dead. But others started asking questions. Why did the council refuse to help the Valkyrie? Could this have been prevented? Was the galaxy partly responsible for what happened? Hyunwoo watched the debates unfold on his tablet. The galaxy was arguing about justice, mercy, responsibility, and guilt. There were no easy answers. No clear villains except for the obvious one. Yunji's fleet held position. She was watching the same news coverage. Hyunwoo could imagine what she was feeling. Her pain was real. Her anger was justified. But now people were questioning whether simple revenge was the right answer. A private message came through from Yunji. Just 3 words. I hate you. Hyunwoo replied with 3 words of his own. I understand why. The fortress fell silent. The mercenaries had stopped attacking. Everyone was waiting to see what Yunji would do. Would she fire? Would she let them live? The decision was hers. And Hyunwoo realized that whatever happened next, he had no regrets. He had kept his promise to Hannah. He had stayed true to what he believed, even when it was hard, even when it hurt people he never wanted to hurt. That had to be enough. Hours passed. Yunji's fleet remained in position, weapons charged but not firing. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. News channels showed the standoff live. Billions watched and waited. Inside the fortress, Hyunwoo continued his work. He adjusted Vextor's medication, monitored his vital signs, and did what doctors do. He saved lives, even when the galaxy wanted him to let one die. What do you think she'll do? Vextor asked. I don't know. She has every right to destroy us. Yes, she does. The dragon was quiet for a moment. If she fires, I want you to know something. You gave me more than medicine. Human, you gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. What's that? The memory of what kindness feels like. Hyunwoo's tablet buzzed. A transmission from the Galactic Council. He opened it and saw multiple faces on the screen. Council members from a dozen different species. One of them spoke. Dr. Hyunwoo, we've been monitoring the situation. The journalist Taeyang story has caused significant debate among our members. We're calling an emergency vote on how to proceed. What are the options? Hyunwoo asked. Some want to authorize Yunji's attack. Others want to offer a different solution. The council member paused. We're proposing that Vextor surrender himself for trial. He would face full justice for his war crimes, but he would receive proper medical care during and after proceedings. Vextor raised his head. A trial? Yes. You would answer for everything you did, every death, every destroyed world. The survivors would have their chance to face you, to tell their stories, to see you held accountable. And if I refuse, then we won't stop Yunji's fleet from carrying out her justice. Hyunwoo looked at Vextor. It's your choice, but at least this way, you live, you get to face what you did. Living might be harder than dying, Vextor said, but there was something in his voice. Maybe acceptance. Maybe relief that someone was finally offering him a path forward that wasn't just death or hiding. What do you want to do? Hyunwoo asked. The dragon was silent for a long time. Then he spoke, his voice clear and strong. I accept. I will face trial. I will answer for my crimes. It's time. The council member nodded. We'll send peacekeepers to transport you to a medical facility immediately. Dr. Hyunwoo, your medical license suspension will be reviewed. The charges against you will be reconsidered. The transmission ended. Hyunwoo felt exhausted suddenly, like all the tension the past weeks was finally catching up with him. Thank you, Vextor said quietly. For what? For not letting me die in the dark. For remembering that even monsters are living beings. A new message appeared, this time from Yunji. Hyunwoo opened it with shaking hands. The council contacted me, she wrote. They told me about the trial. I'm not happy about this. Part of me still wants to fire every weapon I have at that fortress. But there was a pause in the message, as if she'd stopped typing to think. But maybe justice is better than revenge. Maybe hearing him admit what he did, seeing him face the families of his victims. Maybe that's worth more than his death. I don't forgive you. Doctor, I don't forgive him. But I won't stop this. I'll be at his trial. I'll tell my story. And he'll have to listen. Hyunwoo felt tears on his face. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't even understanding. But it was a step away from endless violence. It was something. The peacekeepers arrived within hours. They came in a medical transport ship, heavily armed but professional. They treated Vextor carefully, recognizing both his condition and his danger. They set up a containment field around him, but they also brought medical equipment to keep him stable during transport. Before they took him away, Vextor looked at Hyunwoo one last time. Will you come to the trial? The dragon asked. If you want me there. I do. You're the only one who knows the whole story. The monster and the dying patient. Both parts of me. Then I'll be there. They loaded Vextor onto the transport ship. Hyunwoo watched it lift off from the fortress and disappear into the gray sky of Krell 9. He stood alone in the empty chamber where he'd spent weeks caring for the galaxy's most hated being. His communication device buzzed. Mio's face appeared, tears streaming down his cheeks. "You're alive. You stubborn, crazy, beautiful idiot. You're alive. I'm alive. Come home. Please, just come home." The months that followed were difficult. Hyunwoo returned to his research station, but nothing was the same. Some people treated him like a hero. Others called him a traitor. He received death threats and marriage proposals, sometimes from the same person. The medical board reviewed his case. After long debates, they decided he had acted within the ethical bounds of his profession. His license was restored. But his reputation would never be simple again. Taeyang's investigation continued. He uncovered more details about the Valkyrie crisis, the Council's failures, and the complicated chain of events that led to Vextor's campaigns. It didn't excuse anything, but it made the story less simple. And simple stories, Hyunwoo had learned, were almost always incomplete. The trial began 6 months after Vextor's surrender. It was held on a neutral station with representatives from every species the Valkyrie had attacked. Hyunwoo attended. Sitting in the back of the massive courtroom, Vextor stood in a reinforced dock, medical equipment monitoring his condition. He looked smaller somehow, despite his massive size. The weight of what he was about to face seemed to compress him. The prosecution presented their case. Death counts, destroyed colonies, testimonies from survivors. It went on for days. Thousands of voices telling stories of loss and pain. Vextor listened to every single one. He didn't look away. He didn't make excuses. When survivors screamed at him, he absorbed their rage. When they cried, his eyes reflected their tears. Yinji took the stand. She told her story calmly, clearly. She described watching her family die. She described the years of nightmares and grief. She described the hole in her life that would never be filled. When she finished, Vextor spoke directly to her. "I remember Denebris. I remember the day we attacked. I gave the orders. I saw the fires. I heard the screams. I see your family in my dreams, child of Denebris. I see all of them, every face, every life I took or destroyed. If there was a way to undo it, I would, but there isn't. So all I can offer is this. I'm guilty of everything. I don't ask for mercy. I don't ask for understanding. I only ask that you know I remember. I will always remember." The trial lasted 3 months. In the end, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all charges. The sentence was life imprisonment with no possibility of release. But there was one unusual addition. Vextor would work with historians and scientists to preserve Valkyrie culture and history. His species would not be forgotten, even if he was remembered as its worst representative. After the sentencing, Hyunwoo visited Vextor in his medical cell. The dragon was being treated properly now, his condition stable. "How are you feeling?" Hyunwoo asked. "Physically? Better than I have in years." "Emotionally?" Vextor paused. "I'm not sure, but I think this is right. Facing what I did, living with it, try and do something meaningful with whatever time I have left." "I got a message from Yunji," Hyunwoo said. "She said she still doesn't forgive you. She probably never will." "Good. I don't deserve her forgiveness." But she also said something else. She said maybe understanding is more important than forgiveness. She said maybe the galaxy needs to learn that nothing is as simple as we want it to be. They sat in silence for a while. Then Vextor spoke again. "You saved my life human, not just from the disease. You saved me from dying as only a monster. Now I get to be something more complicated. A monster who did terrible things for desperate reasons. A killer who also was a person. It's not redemption, but it's truth. Truth is enough," Hyunwoo said. He left the prison facility and returned to his life. He went back to his research, to saving lives, to being the doctor his sister would have been proud of. Sometimes people asked him if he regretted helping Vextor. His answer was always the same. "I regret that the choice had to be made at all. I regret that the galaxy let someone die in agony for revenge. I regret that compassion became controversial. But do I regret staying? No, never. Years later, Hyunwoo would visit Vextor occasionally. They would talk about medicine, about loss, about the complicated nature of justice. The dragon was still imprisoned. He would die there eventually, but he wouldn't die alone. And he wouldn't die as simply a monster, because one human had refused to leave. One human had seen a patient where everyone else saw only an enemy. And that choice, as difficult and painful as it was, had shown the galaxy something important. That compassion doesn't require approval. That mercy doesn't mean forgetting. And that sometimes the hardest thing to do is also the most human thing. That was enough. It had to be.